It's safe to say that LEGO is super popular, right? For perfecting the interlocking building brick system as a product, so it's no surprise that another major toy company would like a taste of that action. As long as they're not purely ripping off the builds, they can do so. The brick build system is a building tool like screws and nails, so any company can legally tap into the system even if they're compatible with other brands. Hello, I'm Brian, what's up? And we're taking a look at the rise and fall of Creo Transformers. Back in 2011, Hasbro launched Kre-O, a LEGO-style toy system for their various themes, like Star Trek, Dungeons & Dragons, Cityville Invasion, G.I. Joe, and that crappy Battleship movie, but nothing was as popular as their Transformers. But this isn't the first time in the early 2000s they released Build to Rule. I can tell why the boxes promoted the alt modes. The robots were transforming bricks with spindly limbs, uncomfortable bodies, and parts slapped wherever. The sets were popular with Armada, I saw them everywhere, but they just got into Energon for a short time before getting canned. Even before that, Takara wanted to release Blocktown sets to tie their Generation 2 Transformers, yet it never released. Jump to 2011, we come back to the Kre-O brand. For Transformers, they released major sets in Kreons, which were either human drivers or minifigure-style Transformers characters. Safe to say, they were pretty much the reason why anyone would be into Kre-O. They also released a robot chicken skit. From the promos and Micro Changers to the obscure, cancelled sets and Kreons that never existed, let's take a glance at every Kre-O set from Transformers. And where else to start but with I'm pissing on the moon! Special thanks to my members for the support, and you're watching this. Thank you. Except for the two smallest ones, each major buildable figure came with a few Kreons, including one based on the main character. But since there were only a handful of sets, we got some extras, like Optimus came with Blue Streak and Skywarp, or Bumblebee came with Red Alert. Since most of the parts got reused in both modes, they didn't look right. Some had lumpy torsos, parts hanging off awkwardly, panels for arms, not to mention they felt tedious to go back and forth. Okay, maybe Built to Rule had the right idea. Of course, Bumblebee got two sets, a smaller traditional style and a larger one based on the Bayverse. I like Jazz's car in Movie Silver, and at least he has a finger for a hand. Sideswipe should have had a black helmet, and his legs look like a scene from Misery. I love Mirage's F1, but his hands are flippers. Gotta give him credit, Prowl actually looks the part down to the chest. Ratchet's ambulance looks like a knockoff brick-built car from a dollar store, but does the robot have too much red? Sentinel's made with too many plates. He looks like he's gonna fall apart at the chest, but he did include a Kreon Thundercracker and Soundwave. Starscream looks solid, but the proportions are so bad. His head is tiny. It's like G1 and Bayverse had an ugly baby. I actually got Megatron, mostly for the Shockwave, but I love the Dark of the Moon truck form. I think the most well-rounded was Optimus, based on the film, but he came with an awesome trailer. To me, the tiny one is a secret Orion Pax. Also, there was an exclusive premiere Optimus Prime Kreon with an opening Matrix chamber. This was meant to be limited, but ended up everywhere, including accidentally packed with the big Optimus and an activity book. Apparently, a Kreon Ironhide was teased in the first wave, but came out a year later. There was also a planned bright green Kreon Hound that just vanished without a trace. Woo! Anyways. The following year was the quest for Energon, with the major sets featuring a clear-colored torso to power up your figures, and transparent pieces to combine and create the ultimate Energon weapon. Most of them also had structures and side builds. The sets seemed more refined and smaller, so I guess the builds weren't as tedious. There was the Kreon Pax with Cyber Chase with Barricade and the Auto Troopers, and Decepticon Ambush with 3 Viacons and a soon-to-be-dead Cliffjumper. At least when they did another Bumblebee, they did the stealth colors with the Prime as Kreon. Rotor Rage was cool, featuring Vortex with his outlandish colors. Look at the head, I love it. Optimus and Megatron returned in the battle for Energon, even though it seemed like Megatron was just trying to rob a bank. The highlight has to be the Street Showdown. I mean, a Prime and G1 inspired Wheeljack and Knockout, why didn't I buy this? Then there's Destruction Side Devastator, featuring a bunch of Kreons with Ironhide and 4 Constructicons like that Robots in Disguise build team that can be rebuilt into Devastator with a drill, wrecking ball, and such. Toys R Us offered the same set with an exclusive Ironhide build and a Kreon Devi in G2 colors that was also released as a singular promo. A Bumblebee in transparent blue was another promo, and there were these dangler flashlight Kreons. Now, with Kreons being a highlight, Hasbro introduced a mystery pack series called the Kreon Micro Changers, adding parts that would rebuild them into their alt forms. This allowed more obscure characters to be made. The all Decepticon preview wave had Galvatron, Waspinator, Crankstart, Spinister, Scorpknock, and Sunstorm. Series 1 had Warpath, Springer, Rampage, Arachnid, Insecticon, Blastoff, Bludgeon, Inferno, Dirge, Hook, Quickslinger, and Singe. Now, did you notice some names of Combiner team members in those Kreons? The rest of the teams were made in these 4-packs of actual Kreon Combiners. We're cheap, but okay. There's Superion, Devastator, Bruticus, Predaking, Abominus, Defensor, Piranacon, Computron, and Menasor. Kreon packs also got custom sets with added weapons and optional chrome or clear helmets. There was Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, Soundwave, which I have, Ironhide, and Starscream. For the major sets, Beast Hunters was the big name, but the large figures dwindled to a handful of sets. There's the Ripclaw Strike, which looks like a demon, a Beast Blade Optimus Prime with a show-style truck form.
Can't believe I got that monkey off my back.
Then Bumblebee got a net and Jeep mode before it was cool. For the little guys, Dragon Assault included Trail Cutter, Mech Venom Strike included Windcharger, and the Prime-based Autobot Command had an Optimus Truck, Prime RC, Ratchet, Bumblebee, Shockwave, and the super-duper secret, it's Knockout. Can't forget the Micro Changers. Series 2 included Scourge, Acid Wing, Hardshell, Blight, Lugnut, Aviacon, Perceptor, Groove, Classic RC, Bulkhead, Powerglide, Hoist, and Series 3 had Beachcomber, Guzzle, Cheetor, Huffer, Nosecone, Kickback, Longhaul, Nemesis Prime, Ramjet, Thrust, Sea-Wing, and Sharkticon. For the special promos, BotCon had a Machine Wars themed set with Megaplex, Hoist, Obsidian, Skywarp, and Strika with only 1,500 packs released. Is that a dinosaur? Oh my god! Can we get a moment of silence for the larger Creo figures? Okay, that's enough of that. The larger bots were discontinued in favor of sets the Kreons can interact with. Also, Age of Extinction came out, so a lot of the sets were influenced by the release. The 4 series of Micro Changers had Alphatron, Brawn, Iceberg, Rhinox, Cup, Rodimus, Sandstorm, Slipstream, Breakneck, Barrage, Cyclonus, and my personal favorite, Demolisher. The next 2 waves were tied with the movies, but more or less just continued what was already going on. Wave 1 had Highbrow, Jetwash, Jirager, Fangwolf, Mindwipe, Nightbeat, Misfire, Silver Snout, Scrapnel, Taurosaur, Trypticon, and Wingspan. Wave 2 featured Gears, Scattershot, Sea Spray, Sunstreaker, Trailbreaker, Wheelie, Black Arachnia, Frostbite, Fuselage, Runamuck, Scalor, and Skimmer. Notice most of these names feel made up. Combiners continued too, with Grimstone, Laserbolt, Volcanicon, not to be confused with Volcanicus, and Obsidian. Custom Kreons kept going with Drift, Lockdown, Optimus Prime, Ratchet, Bumblebee, Crosshairs, Hound, Galvatron, and a whole wave of Dinobots with Grimlock, Strafe, Slug, and Scorn. Hey, so I totally forgot Cliffjumper, Dreadwing, Galvatron, Autobot Hound, Autobot Jazz, and Predaking. My bad. I don't know what she's doing. Now for the playsets. I remember these were on sale or clearance everywhere. A lot of them also repeated their Viacons with metal parts and magnets to stick to the Dinobot builds. Gotta say, those Dinobots look ugly, sporadic, and what's with all the gold? I only managed to get Dinobot Charge with Drift and Scorn Street Chase with Crosshairs for $5 each. Cell Block Breakout featured a buildable strafe with a high-octane Kreon Bumblebee and Evasion Mode Optimus Prime. Grimlock's Street Attack looked rough, but the Golden Optimus is shiny. Lockdown's air raid is based on his smaller ships, but came with Lockdown, Hound, and the only Age of Extinction Leadfoot released. They called it Sideswipe, but I mean, we all caught on. Want more dead guys? Optimus Prime Dino Hauler is like those Lego Dino Attack sets with a cage for an oversized gecko and a Kreon Ratchet that can drive Optimus like an old animation error. Then there's the Galvatron Factory Battle. This overly cluttered set has a few prints showing the Sentries and a Kreon Optimus that has no chance with the weirdly colored and larger Galvatron. A bonus Elite Polybag Optimus was released to match the height, though apparently it was a Canadian Toys R Us exclusive exclusive. For other promos, there was Dinobot's Ride with a teeny tiny Optimus and an Age of Extinction DVD pack with 2 exclusive Kreons. BotCon released another pack with a G2 Breakdown, Fractal, Landshark, Shattered Glass Rodimus, Rat Trap, and Gigatron. Randomly, a large Creo Grimlock build was released for a short time in Toys R Us. There's no robot mode, but the best part, the Kreon gets a crown. Furthermore, Decepticon Replicator was hard to find. As a nod to the cheap knockoff of both Optimus and Bumblebee, it came with a movie-style Nemesis and exclusive Stinger. There was a 5-pack turning the movie Autobots into the ongoing Knight style, and they introduced a 4-pack featuring early movie decos of Megatron, B, Prime, and introducing Evac for the ride that they had to change multiple times. Then at the tail end, they finally did what I was asking for. Kreos that transform without parts being removed. These are like larger Kreons with Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Starscream, and Grimlock. There's a few 2-packs, Optimus Prime again in darker colors with a trailer that came with Megatron, and Ratchet with Soundwave and his minions slapped all over him. Also, I somehow missed the Creo Encyclopedia with the exclusive Orion packs. Lastly, there was a Class of '84 pack with most of the original Transformers characters in celebration of the 30th anniversary of the franchise. God, that was a big year for Creo. Are we done?
Yeah, boy.
So we agree, Creon Micro Changers was probably the best thing they ever created. So why did they turn them into cosplayers? I don't really get it, but I won't argue. Ninja Megatron sounds like a rad idea. Wave 1 had Wild West and Samurai Optimus Prime, Gladiator and Pirate Ratchet, Gladiator and Wise Guy Bumblebee, Knight and Ninja Megatron, Army and Pirate Starscream, and Army and Ninja Shockwave. Wave 2 was harder to get, but I managed to get at least one. There was Gladiator and Pirate Optimus Prime, Army and Knight Bumblebee, Wild West and Samurai Hound, Wild West and Samurai Megatron, Ninja and Wise Guy Starscream, and Knight and Wise Guy Soundwave. Battle Chargers continued with the single pack version of Megatron, Shockwave, which I did manage to get, Ironhide, and Hound. The bulk of everything else was tied to the Robots in Disguise 2015 series. Custom Kreons continued with Bumblebee, Optimus, Grimlock, and Steeljaw. The bigger sets were mostly vehicles of the characters in which they can drive themselves and capture the Decepticons. Bumblebee Disc Demolisher had him against Bisque and a very oversized version of Clampdown. Sideswipe Roadway Rundown had him chase down Hammerstrike. Strongarm Capture Cruiser was against a bipedal spring load. Optimus Prime Beast Blaster went off on Fracture and his Minicons, and Underbite Jetpack Takedown had Optimus, Ped, and clearly Underbite's child. 2015 also featured another BotCon set with Robot Master, Dr. Arkaville, Nightbird, Autobot Strike, and an animated Sentinel Prime with Headmaster that you can pop onto any Kreon. Like the previous year, there was a Class of '85 pack featuring alternate versions of a lot of the past Kreons and new ones based on characters introduced in 1985. The Winter Optimus Prime Polybag looks like a Sunny D commercial. In reference to the cancelled Blocktown sets, a subscription service version of Carzap was released with Creo blocks to replicate the unreleased pack. Things started to dwindle down as most future releases were sold through Dollar General. For example, custom Kreons were replaced with new armored Kreons in 3 different flavors of each set. Always wanted them but never found any. There was Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Grimlock, and Sideswipe, with the choice of a regular Armored Up, Night Strike, or Blizzard Strike versions. There's not much to say about other sets. I know there were more bulk bins and human Kreons, but I never really cared. There were a few random brick box sets with Kreons, thrown together sets, or re-releases like Ripclaw. The only real new thing in the future was a new version of the Ride Pack. This featured a green beachcomber recolor named Nest Sentry, heavily influenced by the Revenge of the Fallen Dune Runner. It is the last known Kreon to be made, ending its short but outstanding run. May the line finally rest. Oh wait, there's more.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
A number of unreleased stuff was pitched but never came through. 2 more waves of the cosplay Kreon Warriors were developed. Series 3 would have a Ninja and Army Optimus Prime, Samurai and Wild West Bumblebee, Knight and Wild West Grimlock, Army and Pirate Ultra Magnus, Army and Pirate Megatron, and Gladiator and Knight Starscream. Wave 4 would have featured Knight and Wise Guy Optimus Prime, Ninja and Pirate Bumblebee, Knight and Samurai Drift, Army and Ninja Jazz, Gladiator and Wise Guy Megatron, and Samurai and Wild West Starscream. Battle Chargers was also meant to expand with triple changers. There was a tease on Drift with his minicon shown at a convention, and Blitzwing was also meant to be released with alternate heads like in animated. Apparently Evan at Hasbro has a concept build for a Victory Saber somewhere. More polybags were meant to release too, with a Hawaiian vacation shirt Drift, a soccer player version of Bumblebee, and apparently a Santa Grimlock for the holiday season. Hinted in animations and conventions, apparently there were supposed to be combiners using the smaller Kreon bodies to form Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. I know we just talked about the cosplay figures, but this is probably the weirdest thing they made. All those faces screaming in pain, crying for help that never comes. There might be more that we don't know about. A post from Gary Chind in April 2023 shared images of clear versions of Kreons that we never seen before of Optimus Prime, Megatron, Bumblebee, Starscream, and Ratchet. There was also a white version of the Robots in Disguise Optimus, and a Galvatron Deco version of Megatron. Also gotta mention the Japanese manga for giving us some cool art of what we could have had for some Kreons. These aren't unreleased characters, they're just characters being referenced in the manga. However, I definitely buy a Kreon Tarn, Thunderblast, Redwing, Metalhawk, Victory Saber, Thrustinator, Minerva, Prime Breakdown, Dinobot, Leo Convoy, Blaster, Energon 6-Shot, Armada Sideways, Megatron in a dress, I could go on. You know, I think Creo needed to define itself early on rather than progress into something better for itself. The Kreons clearly took the spotlight, and there was so much potential for more Kreons, even with everything we got in the line. Regardless, Creo made a huge impact. I love the line for what they tried to do, and I would like to see it come back in some form. I think Hasbro learned a lot. I don't know if they're interested with Lego at the moment, making their icons. I'll be honest, looking back, there's some sets that seem fun. I would love to get ones that I missed at some point, but for now, Creo was such a treat we probably took for granted, and while some things didn't land, I'll look back fondly at the things that did work. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.